Let's talk about Brock Purdy here in just the facts, because Purdy was 20 of 31 passing in the NFC Championship game, 267 yards, a touchdown. He threw an interception. He finished with a passer rating of 89, which is pedestrian for him. What is not pedestrian was, it's funny, he had a career-high pass attempts in the Packers divisional round, which was funny and odd, and we talked an awful lot about that. A career playoff high 48 yards rushing for Brock Purdy. The fifth touchdown, his passing touchdown was the fifth of his career already. And with the win, Purdy, who had 2 playoff wins as a rookie, became the 4th quarterback in football history to win at least 4 playoff games in their first 2 career seasons. And if he wins the Super Bowl, he's going to be tied with Ben Roethlisberger for 5 playoff wins in the first 2 years of your career. Now, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't like a gaudy stats guy, but he was a physical specimen, a beast. And, everyone quickly was like, oh, this Ben Roethlisberger guy is pretty good. Oh, this guy from a small college, a less than matters an awful lot college, Miami of Ohio. Wow. And like
cradle of coaches, Miami of Ohio.
Yeah,
but he also was a great runner and thrower on the run there.
But again, he had a body type that allowed people to quickly see like, oh, yeah, I should probably get behind what this guy's doing, winning at the clip he's winning at so early in his career. But, Brock is 30 pounds lighter, 3 inches shorter, and easy to underestimate. So people just keep on doing that. Secretly, without much fanfare, which is odd because we talked so much about the Gardner Johnson-Debo matchup coming into this game, and there was the bad blood that everyone knew about. Debo Samuel had a playoff career high 8 catches and a team high 89 yards. It wasn't a great Debo Samuel game, but when he did touch the ball, he was moving chains and he was just providing the momentum needed that this team needed. He didn't do much, and yet he did a ton all at the same time. He really, big game for Debo.
Debo was great. Back to Purdy, though, for a second. One thing that was really interesting is that when you looked at some of the teams that beat the Lions this year, the Lions' run defense 3 worst games were against Baltimore and Chicago. And those run offenses combined for 471 rushing yards. And the common denominator is they both had mobile quarterbacks. Fields and Lamar Jackson combined for 48% of the rushing yards in those games against Detroit. When the Lions faced the Niners yesterday, the Niners had the 3rd-ranked rush offense. But, man, it was the Brock Purdy 58 yards on 5 carries and 3 huge runs in the second half that made the Niner rushing attack, really formidable. So, I mean, give Purdy credit on that one is in that, man, I mean, and I don't know if it was part of the game plan where it was like, hey, you know what? Look at the teams that have had success against Detroit. The quarterback often gets out of the pocket and runs. Maybe that was something they kind of knew about because he when the money was on the table and the thing was breaking down and he needed to run, he was decisive. He was decisive about running on this team. So it was great to see. I don't think they win without all 3 of those late second half runs.
It sounds like something who didn't know the specifics and to talk about football granularly. And so you're going to say something broad and general, like, he really feels the game, which sounds like a kind of a candy ass way to describe it. I really don't know how to say it. So I'm just going to tell you, but there's the truth there. Brock Purdy feels a game. He feels it around him. He feels the pocket around him. And look, sometimes he feels it collapsing, and it does because it has.
And then the other thing, Damon, he plays for the W. I mean, it's this guy's greatest thing. I mean, let's just be honest about this. The best quarterbacks we've ever seen are guys that we here in the Bay Area have seen firsthand. Joe Montana, Tom Brady. And neither of those guys had overwhelming physical traits, even though Joe was a very underrated athlete, great basketball player, could dunk, had unbelievable escapability, and Brady had way better arm strength than anybody ever thought coming out of Michigan.
Steve Young had wheels, but he was no physical specimen by any stretch of the imagination.
But what these guys all really had, Steve, and I'm glad you brought up Young, because Young had it absolutely tons of this. And what Brock Purdy has, it's this rare, super crazy, maniacal, call it dysfunctional if you want, competitiveness. What makes Jordan Jordan? The fact that he gets to his Hall of Fame speech and he's still trying to dunk on people. You know what I mean? The great ones, Larry Bird was a crazy competitor. Michael Jordan is a crazy competitor. Steph Curry ripped his jersey the other day because he lost a game he played great in, because he's a crazy competitor. That's what Brock Purdy, Derek Jeter, crazy competitor. Montana, Brady, and now you're watching Brock Purdy. He's a crazy competitor. He is going to compete. I told him that Brandon Allen said he was a better golfer than him earlier this year, and that he was going to take his money, and he's like, I'll get good and I'll take his money. He wants to win. You know, we have all had that kid. I mean, my kid, my oldest son, Kevin, who's our producer on this show, he was a crazy competitor. You know, he wants to win at everything all the time. And it's just, you either have that gene or you don't. And Brock Purdy has that gene. And what did he do in the fourth quarter? He's going to do whatever he has to do, because then it gets down to, it's not about timing or anything. It's about desire to win and your competitive fire. And that's why Brock keeps playing big at the end of games in some of these games, because it's like, whoa, now it's like, forget the mechanics, forget my rhythm. And now I'm just playing because I want to win really badly. And those 3 running plays were just like screaming out, I don't care if I take a hit. I want to win badly. And Favre had it, and so many of the great ones have it. Mahomes absolutely has it, and Purdy has it. And you can't see it. It's not definable. You don't see it at the combine. It doesn't appear on the Wonderlic. It's literally, you either have to identify it somehow, some way by watching film, or that's it. And this guy has crazy competitive fire. So that's why his teammates love him, because he doesn't show up for the glory. He doesn't show up for the cash. He doesn't show up for the girls. He shows up because, he's a man of faith, and he's all about beating you. And
he just really likes playing football.
He loves playing football, but he's a competitor, man. The guy is super competitive.
He is. He is. I mean, everyone out there is. Even the least competitive dude on a football field is still more competitive than the average person. I mean, to even reach any position in professional athletics means you are in the
type A
fraction of the 1% of the world of you want it. But a lot of guys, they get burnt out. A lot of guys have, wanted it so bad, by the time they actually got it, they're like, all right, I'm good. Look, maybe Brock Purdy does get that big paycheck one day, and the next thing you know, it's all Lamborghinis and sunglasses. Money changes people, but I don't think he's going to be subjected to that. I don't think we're going to have Brock Purdy, caught with a dead woman or a live boy at any point in time in his career. This guy just seems to have been raised right, and he just flies so straight. To be a really good quarterback in this league doesn't just mean you get it done on game day either. You handle the media, you handle the pressure, you handle the spotlight, you handle the podium. He does it all like a 10-year NFL vet 2 years into his career.